Alrighty, everybody, it is Friday, so that means it is time for news of the week and what might be possibly the craziest news of the week all year so far. First off, want to say that the holiday roster freeze is officially underway, so that means that there will be no trades, no waivers. I don't even think there's signings that can happen from today until next Friday. So, next news of the week will probably be an incredibly light news of the week if there's any news there at all to talk about. But yeah, this is probably going to be the last really busy one of 2024. And then once we get into 2025, obviously news will start picking up because the trade deadline is coming. It's coming fast, guys. We're already almost halfway through the season already. So, again, the holiday roster freeze goes from today until December 27th, so keep that in mind as well. So there were a bunch of trades that happened between last week's news video and this week's video, 4 in total. So we'll start off with the latest one, or the oldest one. Cam Fowler was traded to the St. Louis Blues with a $4 million contract till 2026, is $2.5 million retained, along with a 2027 seventh. And to the Anaheim Ducks goes defenseman Jeremy Biatkabutka, who is on a $825,000 ELC, which expires at 2026, and then a 2027 second as well. Cam Fowler with the Ducks this season before going to St. Louis has 4 assists in 17 games played. So, again, I talked about this in videos and on the podcast. I said that this is a little bit of a head-scratching move. Fowler wasn't really the best defenseman defensively, wasn't really that great, to be honest. I looked at 2 defensive pairings who were really bad this season, and Cam Fowler was on 2 of them, of 10, that I did on a list on my Instagram. So, again, that is not a great list to have there. So a little bit of a head-scratching move there for St. Louis. It's good for Anaheim, even though they're retaining. They do get a 2027 second, and I'd say like a B- level prospect, C level prospect. Biatkabutka, if you're wondering, was in the ECHL this past year, so he really wasn't a big impact player, if we're being honest. But he is on an ELC, so got to give him credit where it's due. But yeah, a little bit of a head-scratching move there for the St. Louis Blues, in my opinion. Next up then, Kakko was traded to the Seattle Kraken on a $2.4 million deal that expires at the end of the season. In exchange, the New York Rangers acquired defenseman Will Borgen, who is on the last year of a $2.7 million deal. He has 2 points in 33 games played. Kakko has 14 points in 30 games played. The Rangers also got a 2025 third and a 2025 sixth. I'm interested to see how Kakko's going to do with the Kraken. I'm actually really interested to see where that's going to go. I'm looking forward to it. And we'll see if Kakko, playing what looks like top 6 minutes, will be able to produce at a much better rate. So, again, something I'm going to be keeping an eye on there for sure. But again, we'll see. And then the Rangers, they get Borgen, who is at best probably a 6th defender, as I said in my video. And they also get additional draft assets. Kind of a meh return for someone like Kakko. But again, it is Kakko, and he hasn't been living up to the second overall potential. But yeah, it was pretty clear that they wanted to move on from him, and they finally get the chance to. As well as that, too, the other 2 trades that I have really not discussed. Alex Carrier was traded to the Montreal Canadiens, who is on a $3.75 million deal until 2027. The Nashville Predators got Justin Barron, who's on a $1.15 million deal until 2026. First off, Barron's younger, Barron's cheaper. He hasn't been looking that good, though, this season for the Canadiens, so maybe Nashville can fix him up there. And then for Montreal, they get Carrier, who is definitely on a much more expensive deal and a longer deal, but he's somebody who could improve in Montreal, and you could flip him for draft assets or future assets down the road. That's what I could see happening there with Carrier. He's on a longer-term contract, and again, Nashville continues that selling that they have been doing. And then finally, the final and probably the most minor trade of all of these, the Pittsburgh Penguins have reacquired defenseman Pierre-Olivier Joseph, who is on a 1-year $950K deal. In exchange, the St. Louis Blues acquire future consideration. So it was pretty clear that St. Louis just needed to dump a defenseman. I mean, it seemed like they already had too many as it is, and with all the injuries they have and all that, but they decided to let Oliver Joseph go to Pittsburgh. Sorry, I saw the Columbus version behind me. And they're going to, kind of get some more cap relief and have more room for the other defenders on that blue line as well. So kind of an interesting deal there. I mean, again, it's a future consideration. It's not like Pittsburgh's giving up anything. They get defensive depth. That's basically all that really is. And yeah, those are the 4 trades that happened before the holiday roster freeze. So again, no trades will happen this coming week. No trades will happen. So we might not even have a News of the Week video next Friday. I might decide to just not do one and do something else. But again, I'll probably end up doing one. I'm sure there's going to be news that happens of some degree, but it'll be a very light News of the Week if we even do one. Next up, then, we move in from the trades to the signings. There's actually 3 signings. There was a lot of signings this past week, I would say. Starting off with what happened on last Friday, Keegan Colasar signed a 3-year, $2.5 million deal. For those who have been watching these, we've been doing this for the past 8 weeks now. You guys will know that every time I post one of these videos, something happens right afterwards, which is probably what's going to happen today. I'm recording this at noon Eastern time, so there's most likely something that's going to happen after today that I don't cover, and I'll end up covering next week, which makes the next week videos better, I guess. I don't know. But Colasar, going back to what I was talking about, is a good bottom 6 role player for the Vegas Golden Knights. Again, I keep talking about how Vegas over these last couple of weeks have just been locking up their core, even their depth players. The entire team is essentially locked up for the next at least 2 seasons. So they are really locking down. But Colasar, good middle 6, bottom 6 player, can produce some secondary scoring for you. He was somebody who I was loving in the playoffs. I think he can be great for Vegas, and we know what he can be. Calgary Flames signed Braden Packel to a 2-year, $1.18 million deal. Depth defender, nothing really too much there, but a good contract for somebody like him. And then last but not least, Kevin He has signed a entry-level contract with the Winnipeg Jets. I believe he is the first Chinese-born player to sign a contract in the NHL, which is great. And he looks really good. No pun intended. He looks awesome. And he has been awesome in the OHL, putting up really good numbers. We talked about it on the podcast this past week about how he has just been awesome. And again, it's funny because I'm saying he has been awesome and his last name is He. So no pun intended, he is him. Yeah, I'm just saying. All right, moving on from that stupid pun. Let's get into the injuries around the league. There's not a lot really here, to be honest. It's also been a light week too. Again, this video will end up being 20 minutes, but it's still been pretty light of a week, I would say. Anthony Stolarz is out 4 to 6 weeks with a knee injury. So very unfortunate there for the the Toronto Maple Leafs. You can tell I'm making so much errors. The Toronto Maple Leafs. It definitely sucks, especially because Stolarz has looked great. He looked like their goalie, essentially, this past couple of games. And it sucks they're losing him. But I think they'll be okay because Joseph Wall looks good. Matt Murray even looks good in the AHL. And Dennis Hildeby also looks like a bona fide future starter. So, again, it sucks, but I think they will be okay. After that, then, it was announced yesterday that Yannis Jerome Moser of the Tampa Bay Lightning will be out 8 to 10 weeks with a lower body injury. Stinks there for one of their defensemen. If you remember that goal by Nazem Kadri, where he essentially jumped over Moser to score that goal in Calgary the other week, that's what the injury was on, I believe. So, yeah, he's out 8 to 10 weeks. A rough go of things there for him. Hopefully he can come back from that, but yeah, very unfortunate injury. And that's pretty much it. No really other injuries outside of that. It's been a slow week in terms of injuries and news like that, but that's a good thing. That's a good thing there's no injuries, of course. Also, I do want to mention that Alex Ovechkin was announced today that he won't be back till after Christmas. We kind of knew that. I wasn't really surprised. I didn't even include it in my notes because I was like, yeah, we knew that. We knew he wasn't going to be back till at least January. So, other news that happened, we have some waivers, and it's not very waivers AHL, it's waivers termination. The Bruins have placed Tyler Johnson on waivers for a contract termination. This is pretty wild because we talked about Johnson signing with the Bruins, I think in our either first or second News of the Week video. And it just didn't work out. I mean, he was kind of like not even playing in the lineup the last couple of weeks, and it was pretty clear that he just didn't have a fit on this team, and he has been terminated. So it sucks for someone like Johnson, but maybe he can go and get employment elsewhere with another team possibly. If that's going to happen, it's likely going to be on a minor league deal or overseas is the way I see it. Next up, we have an interesting piece of news here. It was come out yesterday that a New York Rangers PR employee was fired for eating dinner with a player. Now, I'm going to read the lengthy news piece here by Puck Report NHL, so you guys can bear with me here for a second. But the title starts out with, Rangers PR employee fired prior to the season for eating dinner with a player. Memo was later sent out to all employees of team policies. So it was put out in an absolute bombshell of an article, is what the report says, from Vince Mercogliano of USA Today. So the article, which goes into multiple culture problems surrounding the team, such as the team firing longtime trainer Jim Ramsey despite player uproar, discussed an internal memo that was sent out to all team employees before the season. Mercogliano writes, in the aftermath of a PR person being fired for having dinner with a player following a media event prior to the new season, a letter signed by Drury, the Knicks president Leon Rose, and MSG COO Jamal Lassane was distributed, you can tell I can't say words, to all team employees, issuing a reminder regarding the expectation of behavior when interacting with the players or coaches of any of our teams. Staffers were told that absent written approval from an executive producer or above, they were prohibited from staying at the same hotel as any of the teams in the MSG umbrella, including the minor league Hartford Wolfpack and Westchester Knicks, traveling on team flights or buses, or attending team social gatherings or meals, according to the memo. The internal memo read, interactions between employees and players or coaches must be strictly limited except as necessary to satisfy the requirements of an employee role, it read. Failure to comply with the directives set forth in its memorandum will result in disciplinary action, including without limitation, termination of employment. Some members of the New York Rangers staff responded to the memo by boycotting the next team function. The result was added tension in a workplace that had become increasingly strained, wrote Mercogliano. So, all right, first off, I understand where they're coming from to a degree. I understand where the Rangers are coming at to a degree, where they're saying you can't, join the team in any, social gatherings or anything like that. I get that on a level. Because, you don't want, I get it to a degree. You maybe don't want the staff following around the players this much. You want the players to kind of be, with themselves, let alone not being maybe bothered by some of the employees. But there's also some employees that aren't a problem, and there's some employees that I'm sure if you ask the players were like, oh yeah, I like that guy, he's fine to stick around. And I don't see what the issue is with having dinner with a player. I don't really understand that. It seems like, yeah, again, it seems like a real culture problem. I get to a degree where they may be coming from, but it's still a little bit of a head scratcher, honestly. It still doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't see anything wrong with having dinner with a Rangers player as a Rangers employee. Again, it just seems really weird, to be honest with you. So, yeah, just something that I thought I'd bring up there. If you guys have any thoughts on that, let me know in the comment section down below. But something that really caught my eye this past week. As well as that too, the World Junior Championship rosters have been released. And by released, I mean only 3 of them that I've seen, that being Canada, Sweden, and the USA. By the time this video comes out, there's chances that maybe the other ones have been released, but I'll put them on screen here if you guys want to look at them. Again, they're on the websites for the teams respectively. And again, I'm likely going to be doing a World Juniors preview next week. I got a lot of videos that I want to do next week, so it's a whole Christmas season video extravaganza next week, along with live streams and podcasts. It's going to be a crazy week next week. But yeah, we'll see where that goes. But again, the World Juniors, and that starts next week. I think next Thursday, I believe. So look forward to that. Finally, or not finally, 2 more things before the rumor mill. Cam York was healthy scratched last night against the LA Kings by John Tortorella. It's pretty clear that he's frustrated with how his team is playing. It seems like they can't seem to win games consistently. Like I talked about it in multiple videos this season about how they would go from winning so many games to just losing, and then like they just win, lose, win, lose. It's just so inconsistent, and I don't get it, to be honest with you. And I don't know. Maybe York was deserving of it and you want to send a message, but still a little weird, to be honest with you. And then finally, before we get into the rumor mill, the Canadian dollar. This is like kind of hockey, kind of not. The Canadian dollar has reached an all-time low. When you look in terms of value of the Canadian dollar to the U.S. dollar, the Canadian dollar compared to the U.S. is worth 70 cents. Yeah, so it is worth nearly 30 cents less than the US dollar, which shows that, yeah, the economy in Canada has come to an all-time low. Why are you saying this, Nordic? You're not even Canadian. You're American. And yes, I am American, but this could have impacts on the NHL. And this could have impacts on Canadian teams in the NHL and ticket sales and other things that go on up there. So it definitely causes some concern. And you look in terms of like some teams that are already kind of struggling with attendance as it is. And I'm not just saying the NHL. I'm saying just Canada in general. It's not good. It's not a good look, and I'm hoping for my friends up there in Canada that things may change and maybe the dollar will get better. But again, it's something that you do have to keep in mind when you're looking in terms of hockey. Again, it's not. I don't know if it'll have like a major impact, but it may have some implications in the NHL because, again, we saw it back in the 90s when the dollar was lower again at that time, and teams had to relocate. Like the Jets relocated. I know part of that was because of maybe the team wasn't that great. Nordiques relocated as well. There's a lot there, but I'm not saying like any teams in Canada right now are going to relocate, but again, it's something that you should keep in mind at the very least and should keep an eye on as it progresses. All right, let's move into the rumor mill. Not a ton here, but I'm going to start off with something that is completely stupid. I'm shooting it down, but as a hockey fan and a hockey page, I have to talk about it. So, The Score put out today saying that the Jets' attendance is declining, leading to them having an uncertain future, and this just does not compute in my brain. It doesn't. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Honestly, I think that I get it. Like, the attendance is going down. I understand that. But that's because probably for what I mentioned earlier, like, the economy isn't that good. The economy is like declining in Canada. And that's a whole political thing. I don't even know where to go in that. Again, I'm American. I don't know. But I think it's stupid to say this. The Jets don't have an uncertain future. They're staying in Winnipeg. Regardless of whether or not the attendance gets better or worse, they're staying in Winnipeg. Like I don't think they're going to leave. It's a very stupid thing to put out there in the media. It might be very stupid for me to even, like, entertain it, to be honest with you. But they have, like, the owner group. The owner is, like, one of the richest in the NHL. One of the richest in the world. Like, I like, unless if he actively is like, I'm just going to sell the team and, relocate. Like, they're not moving. Like they're not moving. The only way I could see them possibly even moving is if the attendance reaches like an insane all-time low. Like, and we're talking like less than Buffalo. Like, that's the only way I could see something happening here. But even then, nothing's probably going to happen. And this video might age like milk, and we're going to look in 10 years and maybe they moved. Maybe. I can't predict the future, but it just seems really stupid right now to say something like that in the media, and I'm calling out The Score. It's very stupid to say. And again, maybe I shouldn't even entertain it, but I know there's going to be some people who want to hear about it. All right, 3 more things after that before you guys can go and enjoy your Christmas break. It looks like the starting point for Mikko Rantanen is about a 8-year, $14 million contract per David Pagnotta. I think this is a little bit too much for Rantanen. I think we talked about this in a previous News of the Week video, but we're getting more of an update now. Again, it seems like the starting position for him is $14 million. And I think I even said this in my video last week. I said, yeah, but like, really? Like sure, maybe he could get $14 million on an open market. But if he's staying with Colorado, I don't think that he's getting that. I don't think he'll get that. I don't think he should get paid more than Nathan MacKinnon. I understand the cap's going up and all that, but I don't think that he should make more than someone like Nathan MacKinnon. I'm sorry. I don't really think it's possible, to be honest with you. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe do I think he deserves it? Probably, but I don't think he gets more than McKinnon. I just can't see it. And again, if he does go to the open market, then sure, like he could get 14. He could get more than 14, to be honest with you. But I'm being honest, like outside of that, he's not getting 14 in Colorado. So just wanted to leave that there. Another thing, it seems like the consensus for John Tavares' new contract is $7 million per David Pagnotta as well. I don't hate that either. I think that's a good contract for someone like Tavares, who's actually been like pretty solid through the season so far, like has really improved with the Maple Leafs this year. He really started off slow, but since then he's gotten better. I think he has 2 hat tricks this year, which is bewildering, to be honest with you. So he's not getting paid what he gets paid right now. I think he gets paid 11, but he's definitely not getting paid that. He'll probably get reduced, probably around $7 or $6 million. And again, I think that's fair for a player like him who is getting older in age. I think that's completely fair. And then finally, the final thing that I wanted to talk about is Vinny Desharnais. It seems like they're going to be giving him, or they're going to try to give him a fresh start with the Vancouver Canucks per Elliot Friedman. So I think that is a very interesting thing there too. Desharnais, not a bad third pairing defenseman, can be somebody who can be effective as like a third pairing or 7th D. I don't even know if he played in the playoffs that much, but he was somebody who fit in well as a depth defender at Edmonton. I could see him going back there. I could see him going somewhere else, or somewhere where a team needs a depth defender. It seems like the Rangers are just racking them up, like Vakahainen, Borgen. Why not Desharnais? I'm kidding. But anyways, that is your news of the week for Friday, December 20th. Again, Merry Christmas to everybody. The next time I talk to you guys will be after Christmas. It'll still be break, but after Christmas. And I don't think there's going to be a lot there. We may not even do one. But regardless, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below on the news we talked about. If there's anything you have any thoughts on, please let me know. But thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to like, subscribe down below. I greatly appreciate it. And I will see you guys in the next video.